Love that.
You can always shift it. It's malleable in that sense. So, like, as much as traditional is.
Can you make sure you get some of these discrete malleable? Sorry guys, you got an A for English.
I did not.
Just go with it, dog.
I am not going to lie about getting a distinction in English. Oh, Jesus.
Ah, fuck, I always thought it was an A. I always tell people it's an A. Some kind of always I got an A for English. I always tell people that shit.
I got a distinction for maths though, so but that's not the point.
Call me the gas on it goes with my footwear. Oh, got my leg chain and you band. Drip on a daily, you know that I do that. Bitch, I clear, you do red. Call me the gas on it goes with my footwear. Got my leg chain and you band. Drip on a daily, you know that I do that. Bitch,
Season 2, Episode 2 of Digital Dyans. We're talking post-COVID-19 pandemic insights. There were different ways in which we strategized and people behaved on our pages and social media, no matter how you made money. There was a specific way in which your audiences were interacting. I don't know if you guys saw the content as well. My personal favorite is the Goliaths, but we must start, of course, by paying homage to those who make this possible, our subscribers and those who follow our pages, especially on YouTube. Thank you to those who have joined our community. Thank you for the likes and the comments and the shares. The shares and the comments rather on YouTube. We have had and we listen as well to some of the suggestions that have been made. We will be making sure we enthuse those insights because we appreciate some of the learnings that you share with us. Gents, how are you doing?
All good, my brother. All good. Back like Mpolo.
Back like Mpolo.
I feel like John volleyed the gate for us.
Yeah.
Not that we are sistoko, but
you must bring the polo.
we must open the gates for the polo.
Shit. You must open the gate for the polo because it's polo. So yeah, many people were exposed. Isxhosa mixed in there, of course. It was Heritage Month as well. We're talking about seasonality as well. I don't know if let's talk some banter actually in terms of the whole. We know, Sanele, you were talking about that thing about the fact that South Africans know how to write something. So the video guy got John Bulligate. Everyone, I just hope John, my nigga, I hope you've got extra batteries and gate Rako is electric because, hey, otherwise you're going to be working this December because John is opening the gate. So the video came out, there are various reactions. I always find it interesting what we gravitate towards when we look at those kind of virality and where it eventually ends up. What's your take?
I mean, it's just another one of those viral videos, and it's always going to involve black people dancing. And it's
a bit of a juxtaposition. Can we just enjoy music and dance and not be exploited? But then bro, it's aligned to that.
that song is very loud, bro. Like, I love it. Very loud.
I love it.
It has.
It's ratchet.
It has seeded the feelings of December already.
Definitely.
I mean, it's already December since level 1 basically.
Fair enough.
But I'm thinking, yeah, let's discuss what has happened, what has transpired in terms of the consumer journey.
Definitely.
Since the beginning of lockdown, since COVID came to mess up our 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, what has transpired since then? What are the kind of trends that we're looking at?
That's actually the thing. Has it really messed things up, or has it made us focus on things that were really an elephant in the room? For example, remote working. But the real insights that are being seen by the broader communities that are looking at categories, for example, is the trends. For example, in the various gym equipment, people now had to do DIY, home cooking and all that kind of stuff. People were also creating their own content. So you found that the ring lights, if you were selling ring lights, you might have had a bumper season. And what I liked was, to a certain extent, some of the social awareness around the platforms who knew that they tried to protect the consumers from exploitation, for example, around the pricing in sensitive things like masks and those emergency items as well. So I think there's been a lot of trust that has been needed with regards to understanding, first of all, how people research and engage with your products. So there's that product discovery and research phase, which has been predominantly dominated, I think, by the pharmaceutical industry and older people who want to know the details before investing. Those would be your higher end luxury audiences and medical and pharmaceutical, as I mentioned. But now we're finding a situation where video, for example, is another way in which people are actually reviewing things. So if you've got products that have video and have blog posts and have got reviews and have got people and third-party endorsements, it's easier for people to make up their own decisions. So as you optimize your different categories and products, it's much easier to have more information and allow people to do that research. So if you come up in the brand awareness, and what has happened is that there's a huge percentage of people who are open to new stores. So if you recently were in the new stores and you understand that there are various ways in which you need to optimize your feed, shopping feed, for example, your products, your images, and your descriptions and those kind of things, you'll be rewarded by Google because you make it easier for people to find it. You've got the right pricing, and it's a quality image, and you're not the price is not exploiting people. But yeah, that for me, I think, has created that opportunity. But a lot of people might have started with SEO, for example, and saw that, hey, I'm ranking, but then suddenly, what happened? I dropped the next day. You have to be consistent and keep investing in it. I'm actually reading a very boring, long book about the history of SEO and Larry Page and all that, and how it's quite interesting. But to get to the digital part of it and how people are going to function is quite interesting. But the desktop to mobile discussion is I think something we're going to need to focus on, and also your conversion rate and your average order values, where those are, and you might want to look at the cost of your various campaigns and your objectives for each platforms to see what your December campaigns and your Christmas campaigns are going to be looking like, and how you should optimize your different platforms.
I don't know, Sanele?
So for me, I think one of the main things in terms of all the trends that appeared during the beginning of lockdown and level 5 and 4 of the coronavirus is the fact that people had to focus a lot more about in-home and at-home hobbies. People started picking up things that, like cooking, for example,
I like that.
or even the fact that like people decided to start discovering new things. Like, remember the hiking trend?
Dude.
That hike, I'm not familiar
Yeah.
and
Remember how we were so against camping and hiking? Like, fuck
right,
that.
and I'll tell you right now, I don't give a shit about hiking, but I was bored as nuts.
Fair enough.
Needed to get out the crib, and I couldn't get out the crib to do the usual stuff that I had to do. And I think because of that, like a lot of brands had to pivot and decide to actually focus on the digital side of their business and not rely on their brick and mortar and the stores, and develop e-commerce plans where it's like, okay, fine, in terms of our website, in terms of how people can find us and purchase our products or whatever, we need to optimize our e-commerce sites and offer sales, offer just basically incentives for people to engage with their brand online. And I think what that did is that it just made the whole digital experience, and whether there were people that still weren't fully immersed in how important digital is, and it converted those people to be like, now we're forced, like we don't have a choice. I can't go to the store. So even though I don't usually buy stuff online or buy clothes online or whatever, now I have to. And discovering that side just made it obvious for brands that they have to highlight that particular aspect and make that a key part of the brand's marketing strategy. And it's not something that I think even whenever we get to the post-COVID or whatever, it's still going to remain that trend. That people will be less and less entering brick and mortar stores.
The Haloed integrated digital marketing strategy.
Haloed.
Is it Haloed or Haloed?
Hello.
Or is it Haloed?
Hello.
Hello. Halloween.
I think one of the biggest things that I noticed, like ever since the beginning of lockdown, is how people were basically sleeping on hygiene, and how like even now people are just like iffed out by people not wearing masks or touching each other, and it has basically forced people to be as contactless as possible. Now, which this now obviously requires you to try and get all your products and services with like touching as few people as possible on the whole consumer journey. Now, when it comes to like you're talking about with mobile, I think for definitely like moving forward, and it should be a thing already. It's mobile first. Like shoot videos with vertical, like keep it mobile friendly, and the consumer journey, like you said, the people that were digital natives before, that were always on their phones and tech savvy or internet savvy, were well equipped.
They also were like those nagging, why aren't you online? Why aren't you on socials? They almost seemed like they were annoying and mad, but now it's almost like vindication for them.
Yeah. So now they were well equipped to live in this world where you can conduct all your business from home.
Yeah.
And that journey that happens, that they go through on their mobile, is sometimes not linear. Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe you start with a review, then go back to where the product's made, get some history, get some education, and then finally go put it in the cart or whatever. So each touch point is very important for every company to be important. There's nothing that you can sleep on now when it comes to digital. And I just love how social came to the forefront when it came to being able to purchase all these creating content. Influencers are booking gigs and they are shooting from home.
Definitely.
It's not as convoluted as before, so it's a lot more precise, a lot more intentional.
Yes.
And that, I think, for me, is the beauty about how advertising has evolved. It has gone definitely more digital. The traditional guys are rolling, well, that have been rolling in it since the beginning of advertising, have now had to, like,
would you
transform and evolve. And I mean, like, billboards and things are just
all the out-of-home stuff became null and void during COVID, because obviously couldn't drive. There was the what is it, the times that you could go out or not go out.
Can you imagine the auctioning for those time slots?
Because there were campaigns that were prepared and ready to flight with out-of-home stuff, and that all that shit had to be cancelled and redirected to digital, in a sense. And it's something that I experienced on one of the brands that I worked on, and the entire campaign was based on billboards.
So did you end up shifting the budget or what?
Yeah, we had to shift the budget, but we weren't, because of the time that we had to change that decision and pivot, we couldn't actually formulate a strategy in time to convert that into a digital strategy.
Because if it was let's not.
Because it wasn't the idea was not built in digital, so you can't just transfer it. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't translate.
So does it then become about traditional versus the new digital and modern digital, or an integration of the both? As you were mentioning, Sanele, that it should be parallel. It shouldn't be either or. They should be working together. Because for me, if I take it back to the integrated strategies, if I'm converting online, I'd like to think that if I'm sending people to your shop, that it's going to be prepared, and you'll at least have a contact form to acknowledge the fact that this was a online engagement, it was a phone call. How important are those interconnections and integration between your offline and online? And is it really either or can you integrate it?
Yeah, no, 100%. It has to be integrated. So every part of your marketing efforts tie into each other and they align. Your ATL, your BTL, your through the line, they serve their individual purposes, and there's a reason why they have to be aligned. And I'm not saying that you have to have all three. You can do a full campaign that's BTL or full campaign that's ATL, but they serve a particular purpose, and you need to base it in what are the objectives for your brand, what are you trying to achieve, and that will guide you in terms of which way you need to market what you're trying to do. But in that, you can't not do digital.
I always go about the money, dog.
You can't not do digital. You can do everything else, but you can't not do digital.
Fair enough.
And I mean, if you think about it,
can you explain that? Sorry, Sia. Can you explain further? Let's say because we have to bargain for this. We're always arguing, and this is a budget. There's always budgets. So why would you say that you can't not do it without digital?
Because that's where your consumers are.
Think about it this way, bro. Like in terms of the way digital is set up, that we basically curate the content that we see on our phones all the time. If we see an advert, we can skip it if we want. If they force us to play it till 15 seconds, we will just look away for that 15 seconds, go check something else.
Illusion of choice.
So, like in terms of the digital budgeting and stuff, it's that first of all, digital is known to be cheaper. Or being told to be cheaper than shooting a TVC or doing like high production television commercials. So I mean, you have to. I think what has happened is that
since we're talking numbers, I just want to keep you there. If it's cheaper, does it mean it's more effective? What is the ROI on that cheapness? Is it affordable? Will I get return? Will it be quality? Because last week we were talking about the quality that's on digital for a very big brand and what happens when it doesn't work out.
Well, the thing is, the beauty about it is that it's measurable and it's optimizable. Optimizable. Jesus Christ. And then it's optimizable, and you can change it. It's dynamic as well. You can flip it whenever you want. If your TVC is out, it's a wrap. That's what it's going to look like.
I love the fact that you mentioned that it's dynamic. So if things change, and which they do most of the time, your marketing effort is not static. And I love the fact
you can change the targeting. You can always shift it. It's malleable in that sense. So, like, as much as traditional is...
Can you make sure you get some of these discrete malleable? Sorry guys, you got an A for English.
I did not.
Just go with it though.
I am not going to lie about getting a distinction in English. Oh, Jesus.
Ah, fuck, I always thought it was an A. I always tell people it's an A. Choga some kind of always say got an A for English. I always tell people that shit.
I got a distinction for maths though, but that's not the point. So you always have to be like, you always have to be privy to the fact that most of the consumer decisions that are made, most of the purchasing decisions that are made, and the journey that people take is usually takes place online. It usually takes place on
digital. And it's not linear.
I don't know the last time you bought anything because of a billboard or a newspaper or a commercial that you can skip. But what you do see is that you see prominent influencers that you align your brand to using the products that you eventually purchase. Or you get served the right SEO on your search query, and it just makes sense that you have to buy that one.
And you've got
that's at the top.
And you've got your landing page, which is actually relevant to the user experience, which encourages people to be third-party.
See, now that's another thing. When so much of your business relies on being on your phone and being online, is that your user experience has to be next level.
On both, dude.
Yeah.
On both desktop and landing page. But
definitely.
But more for mobile, because mobile really struggles if you're not don't have a responsive website.
It has to be responsive, So the UX and the UI are very important, because if you're gonna run into glitches while you're trying to give someone your money, it might completely be a drop off at that point.
Definitely.
And I think that's when a lot more designers have been, a lot more web designers and developers back end have been employed since the beginning of COVID.
Everyone has been employed. For me, even in paid media, we've never seen so many fluctuations in different categories for different reasons. So it's an interesting ride. Well, those are our thoughts, and as always, we do depend on the very knowledgeable insights that you share with us. It is a sharing community, and I don't think that you can always do anything better. So please do share, like, and comment on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Please also check out our YouTube page, Digital Dyans. Subscribe, and make sure you get the alerts. When we have posted. And that's it from us, and we'll see you again on the flip side.
Don't forget to also listen to us on Spotify. Also, don't forget to listen to us on Apple Podcasts as well. Please let us know what you'd like to hear from us, what you think we could change. No criticism is bad criticism. Just don't be a dick about it. And until next time.
Alright, Ted.
Ijana ikhethi man Sixoxela ndahleli phansi ngeshot Ingqayo nguwe kodwa ugalele shot Uphula umthetho enye always a lot